Those who are watching webinar, hello, welcome to the webinar. And those who are here live, hello. I'm really, really excited and really glad today have this event here. And first, how many of you are familiar with Vishen Lakhiani or Mindvalley organization? Cool. Anyone who doesn't know anything about either of them? Okay, you? One person, couple of person. You will get to know more about them right away. And I know this 2 hours, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really great. You're going to be thankful that you're here in the room and also watching that. And there's many reasons of that. And one of the reasons is that because Vishen has been able to build up an international company, $100 million worth of company, doing really amazing things, doing things in educational field, changing, really transforming the education, and really getting the people, the teachers that give the best tools, the best strategies to really change their lives. And that's what they've done for several years. And they have, I think about, is it 3 million people in their community? About 3 million people in their community, which is, I think they're the biggest online self-development course provider in the world. So that's a really amazing opportunity, especially for us in Estonia, to have that here, have Vishen actually having here. So let's give a huge applause for that. And before I invite Vishen with me here on stage for this interview style of webinar live event, Facebook Live, just a couple of things what we're going to do today is, first of all, we are going to discuss some of the things how Vishen was able to build this company from the scratch, like without any funding from like anyone else, just from zero to get to this 100 million year company. And also, what is the mindset? What is behind that? What helped him do that? And also, what are some of the things that they do in the education field? For example, one being Mindvalley U, which is this summer coming to Estonia, which means I'm even more excited. And this is something that is really changing the university model. And it happened last year in Barcelona, this year in Tallinn, Estonia. And we're going to discuss a little bit about that as well, and you will get a little bit know more about that as well. So are you excited to be here? Yes. Great. Great. Regards to Vishen, before I invite here, I just want a couple words. I've seen him now, I think we met first time like last year at one of their events, A-Fest, and it was really amazing event. And what I have to tell about Vishen is that I really admire the way he has built his company. I can see the culture. There's close to 50 different countries where their employees are from. And they have over 200 people working in Mindvalley. And this is really incredible to see how this all the people all around the world come together for one purpose and getting it out there. And I think Vishen has also this unique talent of having his technological side and also this big, huge purpose and combining them both together with Mindvalley and helping this really transform the world. So I'm really excited to have him here. And so with that, I'll invite Vishen here with me, and let's sit down here as well, really comfortable. So a huge hand for Vishen.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you for that great introduction.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you guys for coming. I was afraid when Roland asked how many of you have heard of Mindvalley that I would see like 5 hands.
Yeah, fortunately there was more. And so give a little bit of your background of, because one of the things is that your wife is Estonian, your kids actually speak Estonian. So right. So it's really, and you mentioned also interesting thing that you were living right where we.
Yeah. So if you guys look behind you, you'll see these gray Soviet-style apartment blocks, right? Right over there, those gray Soviet-style apartment blocks. That's where we were living 10 years ago in a one-bedroom house with my wife, my son who was just born, and my wife's parents. We were living there I would come to Estonia for one month to maybe 5-6 weeks every year. My wife is Estonian. She was She was born in Gomel, Belarus, when everything was just part of the Soviet Union. But she has lived in Tallinn all her life and used to work for the Tallinn city government. I think she's coming soon. And my children were all born in Estonia. So Hayden, my son, born in Estonia, his mother tongue is Estonian. I insist, and my wife insists, that all our children grow up learning Estonian, because I don't really have a cultural identity. My ethnic heritage is Indian, but I was born in Malaysia, again, in the 1930s to 1950s. Malaysia, India, they were just all part of the British Empire. And so people moved around, just like many people who are Estonian may have been born in other parts of the former Soviet Union. So because I was a product of the British Empire, and my parents grew up going to a British school, they learned English as a first language, I learned English as a first language, but as a result, I don't have a connection too much to Indian culture. And I wanted my children to have a connection. And so we chose Estonia, because my wife is a proud Estonian, their grandparents are proud Estonians, and they were born here. And I love Estonian culture. I think what this country, what you guys have been able to do for being such a tiny nation is so, so, so remarkable. It's something to be so proud of. So I hope that someday when my kids are older, they spend more time in Estonia. I'm super proud that my daughter, Eve, or Eve, her Estonian version of her name, I'm super proud that she started speaking Estonian before English. And so when she was 1 year old, she would say all of these words, and I thought it was just baby language, but she was actually speaking Estonian. And 3 days ago, Eve and her brother Hayden and Christina and myself, we had just arrived from the airport. And Eve, who is now 4, was in a taxi, and Christina started talking to the taxi driver in Estonian, and Eve turned to her mother and goes, "Wow, he speaks a secret language?" She thinks Estonian is a secret language between her and her brother, so it's really cool.
There's only about 1 million more who speak that, so it is kind of secret language if you take globally. But it's really interesting, and I'm really glad that to see that this is the connection with Estonia. And there's like a small country that it has its capabilities to be doing international things as well. And you being from India initially, and how did you get into doing all of it? Because 10 years ago, when you came to Estonia and was here, you didn't have Mindvalley yet. No. But how did this get started?
So well, 10 years ago, I did have Mindvalley, but it was a failing company, right? So basically, what happened was, wait, let me just, sorry, I'm just getting my glasses out of my pocket so I can sit comfortably. So what happened was, I went to school in the US. I studied computer engineering and electrical engineering and computer science, so I'm a total, absolute geek. See, I even have glasses. Now, I realized, though, that I went into computer engineering not for myself. I went to please my parents, because if you are born in an Indian family, an Indian immigrant family, and you're growing up in the 90s, you have 3 choices in life. You become an engineer, a doctor, or a family failure. And so I decided I'll go for engineering because I dislike blood. And so doctor was out of it. So I ended up becoming an engineer. And I got a job at Microsoft. And I actually got to work at Microsoft. I was one of the top 1% of graduates in the United States that got selected to go to Microsoft. I remember even being invited to visit Bill Gates in his house, the richest man in the world, to shake hands with him as a new Microsoft employee. And I realized I hated my job. It just wasn't me, being in front of a computer, coding. I was miserable. So after 5 years of studying to be an engineer, in 11 weeks, I quit my job at Microsoft. I basically just got myself fired. And so I went out into the world, and I tried to figure out what is it that I'm going to do, and I had no idea. And, but I knew I was not meant to be an engineer. So I dabbled in photography. I went and I worked for a nonprofit called ISAC, which is also popular in Estonia, and that's how I met my wife. I was working for this nonprofit in New York, earning below the poverty level. So based on what I was earning, I would be considered poor in New York.
In Estonia, it would be one of the richest persons.
So in Estonia back then, right? So this was 2000. This was like 2000, and at a student conference, I met my wife, and so she was Estonian. She was working for the same organization, but in Norway. And we started dating. And then I was living in New York, she was living in Tallinn, And every 4 months, we would put together our money and fly and meet somewhere in between, right? So we'd have a 4-month date in Paris or a 4-month date in Greece. But then after a while, we started running out of money. So I'm like, okay, we can't afford to fly anymore. Why don't you just come live with me? So we get to see each other more than every 4 months. But Estonia is a little bit more conservative, so our parents said, no, you have to get married first. So I'm like, okay, fine. So we came to Tallinn, and we had very little money, and so we bought this engagement ring. I still wear it on my finger. This ring cost me $19. $19. We wanted. It's not even like real gold. It's probably like. It's basically a poor man's ring, but I still wear it today. So this was our $19 like wedding band, and we got married in Estonia, and then. We moved back to New York to work. But America, it's a brutal place, right? So we moved back to New York, and I had a job there. She was European, so she didn't have a green card. And my boss tells me, I'm sorry, Vishen, but you've been gone too long. Because we had an Estonian wedding, then we went to Malaysia, we had an Indian wedding, and Indian weddings mean like 800 people, like elephants and horses and things like that. No, I'm kidding, 800 people, but no elephants. But by the time I got back to work, I had lost my job. So I have a new wife, Christina, who just walked in. Hi, Chris, we're talking about you. Don't blush. And then we moved to New York, and she can't get a job. And I've just had my salary cut in half. So I'm miserable. So I'm trying to figure out, what do I do? Like, how do I survive in New York? And, sometimes the universe will like crush you down, will pound you, so that you get to the next level of your growth. In my book, I call it the beautiful destruction. It's when an element of your life completely gets destroyed so you can wake up to your next level. That was what I was going through. So the first element of the beautiful destruction for me was losing my job after getting married and having a wife, and now being responsible for another person. But losing my job as a manager and having to start at the bottom again. My salary was cut in half. But I couldn't just go and get another job because my US visa was tied to this company. But that put an idea in my head. I have to start thinking of new ways to make money. Now, one of the things I knew is that I had gotten really good at my job because of meditation. See, let's go back 2 years before that. I was in Silicon Valley. I was trying to start a company, and I lost all my money because the dot-com bubble exploded. So what I decided to do was just send out my resume to anybody who was hiring. I was a Malaysian kid with no green card, with no visa, hoping to make it big in Silicon Valley. But 14,000 people were laid off in April 2001 in the Valley when the bubble burst. I was one of those people. I lost $30,000 that I had borrowed from my father to start my company. And I was renting a couch. I was sleeping on a 2-seater couch that I had leased from a college student in Berkeley who was just optimizing his furniture by renting out his least favorite piece of like furniture. So I had no money. And then I got into a car accident and I didn't have insurance. And in America, this means you are screwed. So I now owed the insurance company $6,000. I'd lost $30,000 from my father. I didn't even have an apartment. Everything I had was on a 2-seater couch, not even a 3-seater. That would have been more expensive. So at night when I slept, my legs dangled off like this. I don't know how Christina was still sticking with me while having a decent job in Estonia. See, she's wondering as well. So what happened was I started sending out my resume to all of the companies on Craigslist. Craigslist is a popular job site in the US, and one guy decided to hire me. Now, I knew nothing about sales, but this was a sales job. You had to pick up the phone, and you had to dial and call lawyers and sell them technology. And if the lawyer didn't buy, you did not get paid. The economy was so bad that companies in America were not even paying a base salary. See, I don't know if you guys know this, but America is so different from Europe. It is hard. There is no safety net. You do not get insurance. You pay for your own education. You pay for your own doctor bill. It's brutal. And in this scenario, because the bubble had burst and so many people were unemployed, if you did not close a sale, you did not get paid. There were people in that company who were being evicted because they couldn't close a sale. And I, as an engineer, had zero idea how to pick up a phone and persuade a lawyer to buy technology. And by the way, anyone here ever dealt with American lawyers? Think about what's going to happen If you are a Malaysian kid with a Malaysian accent picking up the phone, interrupting a lawyer in the middle of the day to sell him stuff, how many of you here like telemarketers? Right? Now imagine if the guy you have to deal with is a lawyer. I heard more, fuck you, don't call me again. And one day after my 11th fuck you, don't call me again, I sank into a depression. So I got on Google and I started searching for an answer. I wanted to figure out, like, why is my life so messed up? And I found a class on meditation. So I flew to LA, I took that class, and it shifted something in me. I went back to work, and in 1 week, I doubled my sales. In 1 month, I doubled my sales again. In another month, I doubled it again. So fast that in 4 months, I got promoted 3 times. And at 26 years old, the company made me director of sales and sent me to New York. Now, at 26 years old, I was leading guys who were like in their 40s. And I had this spectacular office in Chelsea Market in New York, one of the hottest areas in the city. Now, what was I doing, right? I wasn't just meditating. You see, back then, we would go to the San Francisco Public Library. We would check out the Yellow Pages. You guys know what Yellow Pages are? Right? The phone book. And we had to call every attorney from A to Z in order, every lawyer from A to Z. But after this class, I realized that I didn't have to randomly call lawyers. I could go into my meditative level of mind. I could take my hand, move my hand down the phone book, and I would get an impulse on who to call. Instantly, I doubled my sales. Then I learned other techniques in personal growth, how to connect with the lawyer in my mind before making the phone call. And again, I doubled my sales. All of these tools, I started layering them on. I started stacking them on, and I became a super performer at work. So at 26, I was running the company's New York office. All good? I was running the company's New York office. And so, so now, of course, I had confidence that me and Christina could get married, we could move to New York. I didn't, of course, expect that second hit when my salary was going to be cut in half. And I was going to be lowered to a different position. And now I realized that I was not going to be safe in this company. I needed to think of something else to do. But I remembered what got me there was the study of meditation, the study of the mind. Now, what I was doing back then was something called the Silva method, right? It's a meditation program that was very popular in the US at a certain point. And I decided I want to become an instructor. So I got certified and I started teaching classes once a month on the weekend in New York and London. And it was really, really, really good that I started doing this, because in a few months, another disaster would strike, another aspect of that beautiful destruction. But now, at least I had a side business where I could earn some money. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was something I enjoyed doing. I was teaching people meditation. So the second big hit from the universe was, this was now 2003. It was 2 years after September 11. And September 11 changed America. How many of you here have heard of President Trump? Do you guys remember how last year there was this thing that was a big controversy? It was called the Muslim watch list. And Trump wanted to create a watch list for people from Muslim countries, so they couldn't be allowed in the United States, right? And people were protesting, and ultimately the idea was discarded. You guys remember that Muslim watch list controversy? So what people don't know is that there was a Muslim watch list, except they didn't call it Muslim watch list. It was called special registration. And it was enacted in 2003 under Bush. And I got added to it. 80,000 people from around the world were added to a list. I was one of them. I'm not even a Muslim. I just happened to be born in a country, Malaysia, which has a 50, 60% Muslim population. I don't know how, but you see, when you try to segment people according to ideas in their heads, mistakes are going to happen. How do you decide what is someone's religion? It's just culture. But I got added to this watch list, and all of a sudden, living in America, I couldn't use certain airports. If I wanted to go on a plane, I had to go for a 2-hour interrogation. If I got off a plane, I had to go for a 2-hour interrogation. But that was just part of it. Even if I chose never to fly anywhere and just live in America and be a good person, every 28 days I had to report to the government, to be fingerprinted, to be photographed, and to give them my credit card so the government could see all of my purchases. I loved America. I wanted my kid born in America. I'd lived in America for 9 months. But 3 months of that, I decided, fuck this. I don't want to live in a country that treats me like a criminal. And so Christina and I decided to pack our bags and leave the place that had been my home for 10 years and move back to Malaysia. And that's what happened. I moved back to Malaysia. And at first I was so freaking angry at the cards that life had dealt me. Because I didn't want to be in Malaysia. All my friends were in America. I was teaching meditation in New York. Why the hell did I have to be kicked out of a country for something I didn't do? Because of some asshole called Osama bin Laden who decided to blow up the world. But that was the beautiful destruction. Now in Malaysia, that country was having a problem. Every year in Malaysia, 1% of the population was leaving to go to richer countries. 1% of the smartest people would leave to move to Hong Kong or Canada or Europe or Australia or New Zealand. And you couldn't really build a company in Malaysia. But I miss New York. Now, I have a glitch in my brain. And that glitch in my brain is that I believe that the world is an illusion. The Indians call it Maya. Everything you see is an illusion. Now, whether that's true or not doesn't matter. But that glitch in my brain makes me believe that I can change the world if I want to, by focused thought and through my mind. So I decided, okay, if I cannot be in New York, I will bring New York to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I want the diversity of New York. I loved having so in New York, the office I had, because September 11 had brought down rent prices, in New York, my office was in Chelsea Market. If you guys read the news 3 weeks ago, Google just bought Chelsea Market for $1 billion, the second highest real estate deal in New York history. It was an amazing location. My office was in that building, and I got it at a really low rent because after September 11, the city, had lost a lot of residents had moved out. So I wanted the incredible office space. I wanted the incredible diverse team. I wanted a Silicon Valley style business in Malaysia where none of that existed. So in my mind, I decided, let me bend reality. Let's figure out how we can tweak the Maya, the illusion that I'm living in, to make that so. Now, in your mind, you can focus on the problem. And if you focus on the problem, I believe what happens is you magnify the problem. Or you can, in the words of Buckminster Fuller, create a vision that renders the problem obsolete. So the vision I decided to create to render this problem obsolete, this problem of being kicked out of the country and the city I love, was that I wanted to create the world's greatest workplace in Malaysia, so that Malaysians didn't have to leave the country anymore, but we could actually get talent from all around the world and bring them to Malaysia. So we started doing that. It didn't happen overnight. It took 5 years. But 5 years from the time we moved to Malaysia, we had set up the space that became the most beautiful office in Malaysia. We won awards for the office. We won awards for our culture. Inc. magazine in the US called us one of the top 10 most innovative workspaces. And we created a culture where people from all around the world were creating video cover letters to come to work for Mindvalley in Malaysia. This is how today our team comes from 47 different countries around the world. And in Malaysia now, we have about 150, 160 people. We have 5 offices, and all of them are as beautiful as, say, Google's offices, right? But all of that came. It took 5 years. But it came because, in my mind, I wanted New York. I wanted to recreate the beautiful space. I wanted that diversity. But that's what sparked it. So anyway, that's how Mindvalley blossomed. And then in that 5 years, and the 5 years were not easy. That's a whole other story. So many lessons there. But in that 5 years, I went from teaching meditation to creating the company right now that is not just me teaching people in a room, but that has 25 of America's top teachers, that has projects like Mindvalley U that's happening in Tallinn, festivals like A-Fest, and really powerful popular apps like Omvana, Mindvalley Quest, because we just went like that in terms of the number of people that we reach. And now it's no longer just meditation. Now it's health, it's fitness, it's eating, it's exercise, soon we're going to go into parenting and relationships and things like that. It's about getting out to the world the wisdom, the stuff that truly makes us happy, that school forgot to teach us. So that's the story, and that's how me and Christina, who's standing back there, folding her arms. Did I say something wrong? Is that all good? Yeah. She's the boss. So that's how this happened.
Cool, nice short answer. Thanks.
Yeah.
But I really, that's one of the things that I really love about Vishen is that he's really excited about things. Yesterday we were just getting together as well at Miriam's place. One of her workers came to live in Estonia, and he was just sharing some of ideas what he has in mind. And he's always like that. He just kicks off the chair. Like you can't put him on the chair. Just sit here. It gets too excited for that.
Well, no. See, if I just answer questions about myself, then it's no value to you guys. But in my answer, if I can drop nuggets, okay, of ideas that you guys might take back. For example, the idea of the world as an illusion. The idea from Buckminster Fuller. If you're faced with a problem, create a vision that renders that problem obsolete. The idea that everybody should have a meditation practice. Then it becomes valuable to you guys. So I don't like short answers that serve no educational value.
And that's really great. And let's get into building the company from scratch. Because I think there's, at the moment, you said it's like $100 million company per year, but it wasn't like that in the beginning. It's like you got 1 million, 10 million, 50 million, 100 million. Like how is the process of going from having nothing to, first of all, like to mind $1 million company? Like what is happening in your mind?
Well, first let's talk about, I don't give a hoot what is the valuation of the company or how much revenue. That's completely beside the point, and that is stupid to focus on that. The reason the world is so messed up today is because so many companies are focused purely on the profit or the revenue or the valuation. It is utter stupidity. It's the reason why I think Silicon Valley is broken, and I think the world is broken. I think the entire corporate commercial world is absolutely broken. Take, for example, the fact that you have companies like Coca-Cola who are worth billions of dollars. But what exactly use do they provide the human race other than convincing you that you're going to be happy if you take high fructose sugary corn syrup and put it in your body? Or you have companies like Nestle that market dangerous substances as food, right? And it's all because of their short-term shareholder value. So if there's one thing I want you guys to gain from this is, if you're starting a company for this idea of revenue or profit, you are way off base. You are a business person, not an entrepreneur. Business people do it for the dollars. The world needs less business people. Entrepreneurs do it to push the human race forward. So forget this value thing. And that's how we think of it as well. Yes, you want to measure profit as a way to ensure that your business machinery is doing well, but your business has to serve a greater purpose. The world has too many useless businesses selling products which, this is an actual word, craptastic. Craptastic. Too many businesses create craptastic products. We have clothing companies that make you want to toss away your clothes and buy new clothing every season, not realizing, if you read the news this past week, not realizing that the fibers from our clothes are now polluting and destroying the ocean. I mean, the world is going through a cataclysmic, dangerous tipping point right now because of overconsumption. They say if the average person in the world lived like the average American, we would need 4.5 planet Earths to sustain us as a species. It's utterly irresponsible. So if you are starting a business solely for the dollar value, you may actually be cancer to the human species. And I don't like that. I want entrepreneurs to start doing things that actually improve the planet, right? So the number, 100 million, that's Mindvalley's valuation. That was the last amount that, say, when an investor comes and wants to invest in your company, they come up with a number, valuation. So that's a valuation number. Revenue-wise, it's confidential, but we do between 30 and 45 million. Right, revenue-wise. We weren't always there, and I'm happy to talk about how that revenue goes up, but it's also important that you guys understand that that is not the point. The reason I wake up and do what I do is because we want to get education out to people. And the number one thing is the number of people whose lives we can change. The money, whether it's high or it's low, as long as it fuels us and allows us to do that, that's great. But the company is not about the money. And the first great lesson you can learn as an entrepreneur is don't do it for the money. Look at Elon Musk. He's probably the greatest entrepreneur alive today. Now, what did Elon Musk do, right? He started a simple business. It was a simple, classified ad technology, sold it to newspapers, and he got 20 million for that. What did he do with that 20 million? He invented PayPal. From PayPal, he was the largest shareholder. He got 200 million. Now, he said, I could have taken my 200 million, bought an island, retired, and been happy for the rest of my life. But he decided he wanted to use that 200 million to push the human race forward. So he went and he started a rocket company because he firmly believes that we have to be an interplanetary species. Because if an asteroid hits the Earth, we're wiped out. And then he took another aspect of that money and he started Tesla because he believes that cars today are dangerously polluting the Earth. And he wants to make the human species a more energy efficient species using solar energy rather than polluting fossil fuels. That is an entrepreneur. The guy who started Coca-Cola, the guy who started Nestle, maybe at a certain point what they created was useful to the world. But these companies have turned into horrible algorithms which are polluting our planet, poisoning our minds by getting us to become people who get hooked on the bullshit in advertising. So, you know, business schools don't teach this, but they need to.
No, yeah.
Anyway, did I finish?
You tell me. Yeah, well, I really totally agree on that. And that one of the reasons, you know, we put this topic headline being the how to build up $100 million companies, you know, because a lot of people are, oh, I want to have that.
Right.
And I'm really glad.
Why do you want to have that?
Yeah.
The thing that people don't realize is that most entrepreneurs are miserable. Right? Money doesn't equal happiness. The size of your company has zero correlation. I know guys who are some of the richest men in the planet. I have friends who are billionaires. And some of them have miserable lives. They are upset. They are angry because they are now 50 or 60, but they never have children. They never had children. And now they have no choice, and they feel that's missing from their lives because they were chasing that number. They were chasing that title. I want to be a billionaire. And that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And really glad to hear that you're stating it out. That's one of them. So people get what is really behind the business of transforming human race. It's not just about the money. It's about really giving the value, giving the right things for people to enhance their life. So what's some of the things that you would say still, like, you know, have helped you to be able to make that such a huge company with such an impact? Not, you know, it's one of the things is the numbers of like being 100 million worth of company, but actually the much bigger thing is the impact you're doing in the world. So what is something that has helped you make that impact that has actually helped you make the company so big?
So the most important thing to understand, and this is advice from a really brilliant professor called Sri Kumar Rao. He's one of our teachers at Mindvalley, but Sri Kumar Rao is also one of the most popular MBA teachers in the world. He teaches at London Business School, he teaches at Columbia, he teaches at the Kellogg Business School, and his classes are super popular. There are lines of people to get into his classes. So Sri Kumar Rao was speaking at one of our events in San Diego a few months ago, February. And after he got off stage, he came and he cornered me and he says, Vishen, business schools are teaching it wrong. We have to change what business schools are teaching. And I'm like, Sri Kumar, what are they teaching wrong? And he said, they are churning out graduates who forget what life is all about. So I'm like, okay, explain. And he goes, you got to understand that in life, the single most important thing has to be your personal growth. That's it. Personal growth has to be the number one thing. Are you growing or are you not growing? But he says, even if you own a billion-dollar business, even if you're the CEO of a billion-dollar business, that business should not be your number one thing. Your growth has to be the number one thing. If you're an entrepreneur and your business fails, nobody cares. Did you grow? If your business succeeds, don't give a damn. Did you grow? Whether your business fails or your business succeeds, the question is, did you grow? And if you're growing, you're good. He says, we are souls here having a human experience. And the most important thing the soul wants is to grow. So are you learning how to be a better parent? Are you learning how to take care of your body? Are you learning how to take care of your spirit and your soul? Are you learning how to Are you reading? Are you meditating? Are you exercising? Are you eating well? Are you improving your spiritual needs and your mental faculties? It's all about growth. That is the number one thing. The problem with people, the problem with business schools, he says is, they get us off this and they get us focused on this bullshit, which is your profit and loss statement or your business. And as you're doing that, other parts of your life start breaking away. So you may end up as a successful CEO, but maybe you're putting on weight because you aren't taking care of your body. Or maybe your relationship with your children is being damaged because you aren't fostering that. Or maybe you've lost your friends. Or maybe you've forgotten that we are here to improve the human race and your business is one of those businesses selling craptastic products. So the most important thing is personal growth. Now, that's one of the principles. So if you had to list down these principles to build a successful business, the first thing is this, okay? It's your growth is number one, okay? Your growth is number one. And he says, if you make your growth number one, your business will grow. He said this, and I'm quoting him directly, your business is nothing more than a vehicle for your personal growth, which is why, you guys who are here, you're learning, you're growing. Those of you who subscribe to Roland's list or Mindvalley's list, that's fantastic, you're growing. That is where everybody in the world has to be. That's why at Mindvalley we do what we do, because schools don't teach us this. Schools are so missing the point. They teach survival, right? Having a 9-to-5 job is survival. But that's not the point. The point is your evolution as a human being. So the next point, okay, so this is number one. The next point is called the 12 categories. Okay, so there are 12 categories of growth. Most of us think of just this, finance and career. These are just 2 of the 12 categories. So at Mindvalley, we have a program called Lifebook, right? And Lifebook was started by a really famous American entrepreneur called John Butcher. And what I like about John is he has this incredible life, but he has an incredible life because he sets his goals in 12 different dimensions. Finance and career are just one, but other dimensions are parenting. Like you need goals for parenting. Do you want to have children? If so, what type of values do you want them to have? What type of relationship do you want with them? How would you want to educate them? Then you got to look at your relationship. I mean, what type of relationship you want? What does that look like? You don't have to be in a relationship, but you must have goals for the people, for your love life, for your connections with the people around you. Other categories are your social life. Who are your friends? Who do you spend time with? What are the quality of your friendships? And you can go deeper. There's health, there's your emotional states. Emotion states are things such as, what type of feelings do you want to regularly have? Do you want to be the type of person who can bounce back from depression? Do you want to perpetually be in a joyful state? There's character. Character is basically your discipline, your goodness. Are you the person who breaks promises? Are you the person who has a firm set of values that pulls you through the world? So when you look at life from this way, you can see this is already 8, but there are 12 different dimensions. Now you don't have to use these 12 dimensions. What you got to remember is that finance and career, which is what our modern education system is training us to do, is a tiny, tiny, tiny slice. It's maybe 10 to 15% of it, right? So other things you could have over here is adventure. How much travel experiences are you having? Are you seeing the world? Are you spending time in having these beautiful human experiences? Creativity. Like, are you spending time writing or photography or painting or making music? You can decide your own categories. But the point is, you want to have a wider map than what our outdated industrial age education systems teach us to do. So that's what you want to do. Now, why is it that our education system focuses on this? If you look at the world, for most of the world, 100 years ago or so, it was about survival. I mean, 100 years ago or so, even in the United States, like kids would be working. Sometimes parents would pull their kids out of school to make them work in their textile mills or their factories. Calvin Coolidge, the American president in the 1920s, 100 years ago, said, our schools are designed to produce wheels in the cogs of industry. In other words, the schools were designed to produce people who were factory workers. And factory workers need, they need some stability, they need some money, they need to be able to survive. That's not our world today. We live in the safest time in human history. Now, most people forget that. So when they think about their life, when they think about the business they want to start, they are focused on that bullshit idea of the valuation or the revenue. Now, what you do want to do is think in terms of 12 categories and set goals in these categories. Okay, so in every category, using the Lifebook model, you come up with a vision for what you want. So the 12 categories are broken down. So you come up with a vision, you come up with your why, you come up with your premise, and you come up with your strategy. Okay, so you go deeper. So, for example, let's look at health. So I have a vision for where I want my health to be. I want to live to be 120, but I want to live to be 120, right? In this body. I refuse to age. I am not, I'm been getting fitter and healthier every year. And I'm going to be 50 in like 8 years. And I know my 50-year-old self is going to be able to kick my 21-year-old self's butt. So I'm already now 42, and I'm in my best health ever, right? I have my health as measured by things such as muscle mass and endurance and things like that. So that's vision. But you also got to have your why. My why to be able to live to be 120 in great health is because I want to be able to play with my great grandkids. That's my why. And there's so much I want to do in the world. I know my body needs to be at optimal state. Then your premise is very interesting. Your premise is your belief. You want to ask yourself, why do I believe certain things? So my grandfather died when he was 65 of cancer. And so growing up as a teenager, I remember reading that the average man in the Western world lives to be 75. So in my mind, I planned everything to retire at 60 or 65 because I just assume I'm going to die at 75. But that was a belief. Now I realize that with modern science, my beliefs have changed. Now I know, now I want to live to be 120. Fuck retirement. I don't want to retire. I love too much what I do. I want to die maybe at my laptop. That would be cool at 120, right? So
coming up with the best idea so far.
Exactly. So my premise has changed. But the thing is, once your beliefs change, your world changes. Remember, it's all Maya. It's all illusion. So here's something that happened. These are my glasses, right? Now, 2 years ago, my power 2 years ago was 20/40. You guys know what that means? 20/40 eyesight power. So it basically, I'll write it down. So 20/40 was my eyesight power. Okay, so I needed glasses most of the time. If I was on stage, I would need to wear glasses and so I could see people. Today, my power is 20/25. So I have to, every month, I've had to go back and get my lenses thinner and thinner. Because a few months ago, I read a book that said that eyesight is a function of the brain, and there are certain brain exercises you can do to improve your eyesight. So I hired an eyesight coach, and I started working with the coach. And these exercises you do, like you hold your thumbs apart, and you move your eyes left to right, and you focus. There's like a stretching exercise you do that's designed to. But all of these exercises are designed to improve your brain capacity for vision. And in 2 weeks, my eye power went down like this. And in 2 weeks, I went from 40% of the time wearing glasses to 2% of the time wearing glasses. Sometimes I go for like 10 days without wearing glasses. Now what happened there? A belief changed. I used to believe that my eyesight was fixed, and as I get older, my eyesight gets worse and worse and worse. Now I believe, screw that, I can heal my eyesight. But now when I believe that, I believe I can heal everything. So I believe that I can get fitter as I get older. I believe I can get younger and have more energy as I get older. And so when your beliefs change, your life changes, and that's what a premise is. Now imagine if you start questioning all the assumptions about everything. Take parenting. I'm sure you've heard bullshit ideas of parenting such as it's so hard, it's so stressful. In America, there's this idea called the terrible twos that say when your kid is 2 years old, it's the worst time. They're going to be crying and pulling your hair, and they're going to suck up your energy. We don't believe in that. And so we never experienced that. Did we ever have a terrible twos? No, right? So when you start questioning the bullshit beliefs that society has told you to expect, you find that the illusion changes. And so when you can implant the right beliefs, often these beliefs become real. See, I'm trying to remember a really beautiful quote. We see the world as we believe the world to be. If you believe that people are assholes and rude, you will see and encounter people who are assholes and rude. If you believe the human race is kind and generous, you will live in a kind and generous world. If you believe you are unsafe, you will be unsafe. If you believe you are safe, you will be safe. I don't know why it works, but I believe our brains create our reality. So your premise for all of the 12 categories is really important. But all of us are brainwashed by media, by priests, by television, by our well-meaning parents. And you've got to constantly question these premises. Now, the final one, of course, is strategy. Strategy is what you get by following this guy, right? By coming to Mindvalley U, you learn the techniques. So I started to believe that I could heal my eyesight, but I needed to learn the strategy, the stretching exercise, the eye movement exercise to improve my eyesight. So I lived my life with a very firm idea of my 12 categories, and I have my vision for what I want. I have my why. Why do I want it? You must know why you want it, otherwise it's meaningless. I analyze my beliefs and ask myself, is this belief real? Or is this something I simply believe because somebody told me? And then I learn the best practices to get there. So anyway, that's number one and number two.
That's great. Thanks
now your question is, right? Now you asked me, how do you build a $100 million business? This is it. Mm-hmm. You see,
it's not that difficult.
Like it's not that difficult.
They teach you in the school.
But guys, like MBAs are bullshit. Is there anyone here with an MBA? Right? It's an utter waste of time. The greatest entrepreneurs I know are obsessed with their personal growth. So the problem we do is that we take the focus off this and we start learning, things that we think you need to learn to build a business, accounting, and all of that has a purpose, right? But this is the main thing. This is number one and number two. So why is this 12 categories so important, right? When you have a firm hold on the 12 categories, your business will become a vehicle to get you there. If you don't have a firm hold on the 12 categories, your business will suck you away from what matters, which is why most entrepreneurs today do not have their lives well put together. They are working way too many hours. They are having unnecessary stress. They are breaking relationships with people. They have issues with their, with their employees and all of this other crap. And I joined a business group once, right? It was a mastermind for entrepreneurs, and I had to leave because I would sit down with these entrepreneurs whose average business was doing 75 million a year, double my business. But when I sat down in this mastermind every month with them, all of them would be complaining. One was about to divorce his wife. Another one hated his employees because they were always asking him for too much. Another one was having issues with his kid. And it was so depressing because all of them had forgotten what life is about. They had been so focused on the business, getting it to 75 million, that they forgot to focus on their multi-dimensional vision for their life. I left that group after 3 months because the energy was so nasty. And that's why I think if you want to build a successful business, these two matter first. These are the first two things.
And that starts from the leader, as from creating the company, and if we go into the culture and getting people together, can you explain that as well? How you've been able to get 200 people for 47 different countries work together? What are the keys behind that?
I can do that. I can easily go into that. But first, maybe I want to see if anybody has any questions.
What we covered so far. Okay, well, any questions?
Oh, yeah.
Can you bring the microphone, just because there's people watching it online as well.
Thank you. Vishen, can you please write down the name of professor that you suggested us?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure. You can Google him. It's called Sri Kumar.
It would be useful. Thank you very much.
Sri Kumar Rao. Yeah, you can Google him. Okay.
Any other questions?
It's so interesting talking to Estonians because you guys don't talk back.
We have some questions that are pre-sent, and
Yesterday,
I also see from
Yesterday we went to an Estonian concert, and we were. I was there with Kadi. Oh wait, just want to introduce the people in this room. So that's Christina. Christina's my wife, and Miriam. Could you just say hi to the people? Miriam is our director of programming, so she brings all the incredible authors. She's bringing all of them to Tallinn this summer for Mindvalley U. Kadi, could you just say hi? Kadi is running Mindvalley U, so she's the boss who's putting everything together. We rented Kulttuurikatel for about close to 3.5 weeks, and we're bringing 300 different events to Tallinn. So Kadi's running that entire project. So,
we have a question from people beforehand. They sent through the webinar program. So one of them asked, like, what are 3 biggest mistakes that you have done as an entrepreneur? What lessons?
Right.
What are the most important lessons you got out of that? So that's what Silver asked.
Okay. So,
if we're not getting the questions from the live room, we have questions from the webinar.
So you guys really want to bring the question back to entrepreneurship? Really? Okay. All right. Fine. Fine. Here are the 3 biggest
mistakes.
The 3 biggest mistakes. Okay, so the first one is underestimating the power of sales and marketing. That's the first one. Actually, I wrote a blog post on this 7 years ago. Let me just pull it up. One second. Okay, the biggest mistakes. Okay, so the first one is sales and marketing. And so I was a computer engineer. So I believed if you build a great product, people will come, right? You just build a great product, people will come. But the world today, you got to be able to sell your product. You got to be able to understand marketing. So no matter what you do, you must understand sales, marketing. You can put PR there as well. And my first business failed because I knew nothing about sales and marketing. So I had to go and get a job doing phone sales. But when you're doing that, you really learn to speak. You really learn to persuade. You really learn to sell. And so the second business I started, which was Mindvalley, that one was able to succeed very, very, very well because I had learned sales and marketing. The #1 book you want to read on this, and every entrepreneur should read this book. It's a book called Influence. Influence by Robert Cialdini. Today in Mindvalley, it is the #1 book I asked everyone to read. Cialdini is a professor at the University of Arizona, and he studied the science of why people do what they do, right? So the book is called Influence, and he talks about 6 influence triggers. And if you understand this, this is the #1 marketing model out there. So I read this book, and this book helped me when I was teaching meditation to build my first website. I literally read the book, looked at the 6 triggers, and figured out, okay, like my website is meeting these triggers. And instantly, I was able to sell out my very first class. So that's #1.
#2?
#2 is what I just shared. Okay, well, #2 is product matters. So a lot of people, they fall into the trap of becoming a business person, right? They decide, okay, I can do X and Y and maybe generate some money. But that's a very short-term thinking. Your product matters. So whatever it is that you're doing, you want to turn it into a product. You want to be able to build a brand, basically. So for example, when I first started Mindvalley, I was building websites I first started by building a website for my meditation class. Then I started building a website for other teachers and a website for other people's programs. But I wasn't building my own brand. Nobody knew what Mindvalley was. People knew about the websites that we were building for other people's brands. And it was only around in year 6 or year 7 that we started focusing on our brand. So our product, Mindvalley, with our app, with our design, with our branding, became key. And that's when the business started taking off. So you must, whatever you're doing, you must want to build a brand. So let's say, for example, you are a consultant in X, right? You want to build a brand around that. You want to position yourself well. You want to market yourself well. In that scenario, you are the product. You want to make sure you have a good website. You have proper photography of yourself. Karen Harms over there is a fantastic photographer if you ever need a profile picture. She's the one we use. But you want to turn yourself into a brand if you're a consultant. And so product matters. That's number 2. Now, number 3 is networking. So what this means is that I think the fastest way we learn is through other people. So when I got into this industry, digital marketing, I started signing up to attend conferences on digital marketing where I could meet other people in the industry. When we started doing health and wellness, I signed up for conferences where other people in meditation or health or wellness would attend so I could connect with them, right? So that networking helped me gain a lot. And what I would do is, I was good at one really simple thing. I was really good at building a company and building a team because we had people from all around the world wanting to join our company. I wasn't good at other things. I wasn't good at certain other aspects, but I would go and find people at these networking events who were good. I would make friends with them and I would say, hey, let me help you out. You have problems attracting people, great. Let me help you out with your recruiting. I need help with maybe understanding Facebook advertising. So we would do something called a brain exchange. I would give them 1 hour of advice on Skype. They would give me 1 hour of advice. So now I had this entire panel of incredible advisors, and it was all because of networking. So this is the number 3 thing. So those 3 things really, really, really helped me solidify the business.
I like the brain exchange.
Right.
That sounds good.
Right.
Any other questions regards what we have covered so far? And
yeah.
Mike over there.
You're a father, yeah?
Yes.
How many kids do you have?
2.
2, okay. Can you explain a little bit about how to mix parenting and building up a business?
Ooh, that's really interesting.
Is it possible? Or of course it is possible, but...
Right. Well, in the case of our business, so Mindvalley U, our project that we're doing in Tallinn, one of the reasons for that is we wanted to do something that involved the kids. So I thought me and Christina were having a holiday once in Singapore, and we were there for 6 days, and we thought, wow, this is really cool, being in a new city. What if we were in a new city for 1 month every year, right? And we had our kids with us. And that was the idea that sparked Mindvalley University. So now we have hundreds of people who are going to be coming to, who move with us to a different city every summer, and we build up pop-up schools and pop-up trainings and pop-up lectures and a community and a co-working space, and there's classes for 6 to 12-year-olds and classes for teenagers and classes for adults. That's Mindvalley U. That's what's happening in Tallinn. But that's an example of how a vision I had for my parenting life and my adventure life led to a business idea. It didn't start with the business idea. It started with me over here creating a vision for parenting and for adventure. Right? So that's how I do it. The business ideas comes from me wanting to complete something over here. So at least that's how my kids have inspired business ideas. Yeah, go ahead.
Mike over.
I get this question a lot. Hey, I'm actually also in business, so I get this question a lot. I think it is one of the premises which is really screwing us up. We think that we have to choose either business or family, and it's exactly the opposite. I'm a mother of 2. When my second daughter was born, she was only 4 months old when I went to speak at a huge event in US. Why was it possible? Because this is my business. I make the rules. I was bringing her to the office so that I could breastfeed her until she was 1 year and 4 months old. Because this is my business. I make my own rules. So I think it's the opposite. It's not, does business and parenting work? The best job for a parent is to have their own business, I think.
Yeah, because...
I like
yes.
That's nice. I like how you can speak for 2 minutes and get applause. Nothing.
We're here
Everyone
1
is
hour,
just blank.
nothing.
I'm like, what the hell? Christina, you want to just take the chair?
We're quitting.
Because, yeah, I was listening one forum too, and then one of the Estonian presidents who was running for Estonian president, Marina Kaljurand, she said, you can never be a good businesswoman and a good mother at the same time. But at the same way...
Bullshit. That's the stupidest thing to say.
And I mean, like, that was
No,
like part of the question. Can you be a good father and a good businessman at the same time?
She cannot. I don't know who that person is. Did you say it was the Prime Minister?
No, she was running for Estonian president, and she
Okay.
almost.
Did you guys elect her? Okay, good. Because she basically had the wrong premise. What did I just say? Your beliefs become real. So for her, it's going to be true because she believes it's real. Not for Christina.
I actually want to share another story about fatherhood and business. So me and Vishen were on Neck Island, and we were having a party, and my son, we didn't have a daughter yet then, our son was 4 years old, and he was hanging out somewhere on the cushions, and I was sitting and having a dinner with Richard Branson, and I'm like, I suddenly felt so bad. I'm like, my son is hanging out somewhere with people he doesn't know on the cushions. It's super late. He should be going to bed. And I'm like, Richard, I feel really bad, mother. And Richard said, forget it. When I was starting my business, my children were always playing somewhere under the table while I was having the meetings. So yes, business and fatherhood works perfectly well. Not just my words. Richard, another really amazing business owner, same story. So forget it.
I met another guy who is, his name is Naveen Jain. He's a famous American billionaire of Indian origin. And Naveen Jain started a string of different companies, and his children are remarkable. They've gotten into Harvard, they've started businesses. And I asked Naveen, because I met Naveen's son, Ankur, who's like in his 20s, and I asked Naveen, you know, your son is such an amazing guy, right? How did you raise him? And Naveen said, look, from the time Ankur was 6 years old, I would take him to business meetings with me. I just let him be there. When I'm there having discussions with other really high-powered personalities, Ankur is there just being a kid. And you don't understand, but your kids pick up from that. And so when Ankur grew up, he became a natural-born like entrepreneur. And he ended up starting a remarkable company. He's now been written up in Forbes and multiple other magazines. And it was because his father integrated him in this business. And we've seen Richard Branson said he did the same thing with his kids. And we do that same thing as well.
I would add, and you mentioned Buckminster Fuller before, and he has said that you cannot change the person, but you can change the environment, and the person changes automatically in the environment. Right. So think about where your children are, what environment they're surrounded, what you are surrounded, you become like that, because your brain's main function is to fit into the environment you're in. So that's you know, there's a lot of studies on that, and they actually say that that's true. That's what's happening. Yeah. So that's really good explanation from you as well.
So remember, you can choose to believe whatever you want. If you believe it's going to be hard to be a mother or a father and run a business, great. It's going to be completely true for you. But if you believe it's going to be a piece of cake, and your kids are going to grow up and they're going to learn so much, and you're going to have fun, and business is going to be fun, and it's still going to thrive, that's going to be completely true for you. So you choose what you want to believe. It's all an illusion. You're making it all up. It's not real.
It's a secret. Don't tell anyone else. Any other questions? Over here. You know, that's with the Estonians. First they're not engaged, but then when they get started, you can't stop them.
You guys in a warm-up period?
So what's your method for changing beliefs?
So there are a number of different ways to change beliefs, right? Okay, so if this is, you guys have seen this famous idea of the iceberg, right? So I'll just draw it. But if you think of beliefs, this much is what you know you believe. This much is what you don't know you believe. So most of your beliefs are unknown to you. So to change them, there are a couple of things you can do. The first thing is, so I'm going to write these down. The first and the best way is new people. Expand your reach. If you're just hanging out with the same people you've known since childhood, since school, or just the people in your company, you're going to form beliefs based on them. See, there was a famous experiment by Sigurd Vasdal, a scientist, and he found that human beings are like lemmings. When faced with complexity of choices, we simply look at what everybody else is doing, and that becomes our belief. It helps us live in a complex world. So, sorry, Sigurd Vasdal, and it's called Memetics and Social Functioning, a famous research paper. And so we basically believe what our parents believe, what our school friends believe, what our colleagues believe. The way to change that is to get to know new people. One of the big things about networking is that you get to know new people. If you guys are at Mindvalley University, you meet amazing entrepreneurs from all around the world, from 40 different countries, and these are people with incredibly positive beliefs. You shift. The number one thing actually is join these organizations, like be part of this room, be part of communities that where you meet unique people doing great things. Now the second thing is biographies. And a lot of people underestimate this, but when you read a biography of someone who has done something amazing, you absorb their beliefs. So I read a lot of biographies of great men and great women who have built incredible companies. Some of my favorites were Richard Branson, because he writes it himself. So autobiographies, where the author is writing it himself, is way better than biographies where a writer is trying to guess what the person is taking, right? So many of you guys may have heard of the Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson. It's good, but it's not as good as the autobiography where the person is writing it himself. And many great men and women have written autobiographies or have written books about their beliefs. Arianna Huffington wrote a book called Thrive about her as a female entrepreneur, how she integrates wellness into her business. It's amazing because she wrote it. Richard Branson wrote his autobiography. Sam Walton wrote his autobiography. And from all of these, you learn and you absorb different beliefs. So really, you meet people or you meet people through the books that they have written. But beliefs come from other human beings. And then it's also the lifebook process. So the lifebook process is that 12-category process, right? Premise, this is belief. It's being able to look at your life from these 12 categories and really understand what are the beliefs that are holding you back.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Is that fine? So I'm not sure how much are you familiar with Stephen Kotler work, Flow?
Stephen Kotler is a really close friend. Yeah.
That's
I'm
good to
very
hear.
familiar with his work. I'm
Okay.
flying to see him in 5 days.
So he says that don't get hooked on the state, but raise the stage. So make the environment, change the environment that starts to change you, and people are also an environment. So it's like a feedback group. So my question is, what's your thoughts on ayahuasca and psychedelic therapies and things like that? If that's okay for you to talk about.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah, Stephen Kotler he comes to our events because he says he meets the best people over there. So Kotler, I've had a lot of interesting discussions on drugs with Stephen Kotler, right? And there are certain drugs that cause you to have different states that shift your beliefs. Now, I didn't write it down, but accessing different states. But this is a much deeper topic. I know people who have had amazing awakenings through ayahuasca or iboga, which is another drug, but I'm not a big fan of that. I prefer shifting my beliefs by going into altered states through meditation. So I work with some laboratories where I work with scientists. We hook up machines to my head, and you're in a capsule, and then you learn to go into the altered states using sound and light. I feel that's safer. So, but when you go to these altered states, sometimes what happens is amazing ideas or insights come to you. You get these psychic downloads, but this is also a powerful way. Now, not that I'm trying to pitch or anything, but Christina and I, during Mindvalley U, are teaching a 2-day seminar that teaches you how to naturally access these altered states to rewrite your beliefs, including how to program yourself when you fall asleep to have your brain working on these beliefs. It's part of Mindvalley U. So those of you who are coming to Mindvalley U in Tallinn, it's called the Silver Ultramind Seminar, and it's happening there. But yes, this is a big part of what we do. I just didn't mention it because it's super advanced, and I didn't know if it was okay for me to talk about drugs. At Mindvalley U, no drugs. We are doing it using sound and hypnotic commands. Christina guides people through it.
You can talk about them, but not. Okay, let's now get into this cultural thing and then how you've been able to get 200 people from 47 different countries coming together and work together and have a big part of why Mindvalley is so successful. How did you do that?
Okay, so how do you get people to join your vision for the world, right? The vision that you want to get out there. How do you get people to join? So after interviewing around 2,000 people, I realized I noticed a pattern. The smartest, the best people I was talking to, they were not looking at a job for the traditional reasons people look at a job. There were 4 things they were looking at. Now the first thing was basically mission. They wanted to contribute to something. The second thing was happiness. The third was growth. And the fourth was significance. Okay, so notice, money isn't there. Money is an energy. It's a means to an end. But as I interviewed people, I noticed that people would be wanting these 4 things. So I would ask people, for example, and I would explain what the 4, and I would ask them to tell me how they would rank it. Now, let me first explain what the 4 is. If mission is important to you, it means you want to feel that your job is contributing to the growth of the human species, right? You're doing something good for the world. People who are very mission-oriented, they want to work for NGOs. Me and Christina started out working for an NGO. Christina was volunteering for the United Nations, working in refugee camps. It's not always easy.
Otherwise it will be interesting.
Yeah. It's not always easy, but you have a need to contribute. How many of you here relate to this? You think mission is the most important for you? Great, right? Now the second one is happiness. If you're working for a company like Facebook or Google, lots of perks, beautiful office, you wake up every day with really inspirational workmates, happiness matters. Happiness means you care about the people you work with. You don't want a job where you just sit at your desk. You want relationships with the people around you. You want a job that actually lights you up. So happiness is important for those people. How many of you guys can relate to that? Right. Now the third one is growth. Growth means you're willing to sacrifice some of these things as long as you're getting better and better and better as a human being. You care about growing. Now, here we're not talking about just personal growth, we're talking about skill growth as well. If you are an apprentice for someone who's at the top of their field, you know, often when you're doing an apprenticeship, you don't even get paid, but you are learning a lot. Men like Leonardo da Vinci, he was an apprentice to a great artist called Verrocchio. He cared about his growth. He didn't get paid much, but Verrocchio turned Leonardo da Vinci into the man who would later paint the Mona Lisa. That's growth. Finally, there's significance. Significance means you want your life to matter. You care about being able to have a beautiful car. You care about being able to wear the best clothes. You care about the business card title. You want to matter, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But often people confuse money and significance. Typically what happens is you want the money so you can have the significance. Money is just a measure of significance. Significance means, you know, you want to live a life where you are proud of yourself. Nothing wrong with that, but this is also one of the categories. So again, quick show of hands, growth. Anybody relate to that? Significance. Anyone relate to that? Great. So people who care about significance, you might, for example, join Wall Street. Between the ages of 30 to 40, you may not have any fun. You have to work crazy long hours. I know guys on Wall Street, friends of mine, who had to work 100-hour weeks. But you know what? At the age of 40, they can retire as multi-millionaires. That's the decision they made, right? And so most people, though, are a collection of these. So when I'm interviewing someone, I ask them, can I have a volunteer? Okay, great. So what I want you to do is imagine you have 10 chips, and you have to place these 10 chips in these 4 boxes based on what matters to you. Okay? So you can put all 10 on mission, but most people would put a few here, a few here, a few here, a few here, and it's different for different people. First, tell us your name.
My name is Mark.
Okay.
So, actually I'm related to 4 of them, all of them. I would put It's so actually hard. Can I have 40 chips and put 10, 10, 10, and 10, all of them? So let's put, for example, 4 chips on a mission.
Okay, so 4 chips on mission. Great,
Yeah.
that leaves you 6.
Happiness, for example, 3.
Okay,
Growth, then it's 7. So I have only 3, yeah? Then it's 2 growth and 1 significance.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see most people need a combination of both. Now the problem with most companies is when they design the company, it's designed just for significance. Again, it's because of what we've been educated, right? It's designed just for significance. So when you read a typical job ad, it's you're going to be doing this, 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 this is the salary. Now compare that to careers.mindvalley.com. If you go to careers.mindvalley.com, and you will see how we position our job page. And by the way, I want you guys to go here because we are hiring like crazy in Estonia. We're opening up a new office here. We have 14 staff here, but we want to grow it to 20, 30 people. We're hiring programmers, we're hiring business development, we're hiring event managers, we're hiring personal growth junkies. So if you know anybody, go to careers@mindvalley.com. Now when you go there, you'll see we don't even talk about our jobs. It's about...
Who's a personal growth junkie?
What?
Why are you hiring them?
Because we want people who can help us with researching new authors, with blogging, with content.
I get that.
It's a real job, right?
You can get paid for that?
So the thing is, if you look at our job site, it's written in a very different way. We appeal to all 4. So if you look at our job ad, it doesn't just say, this is the position, this is the salary, because that's only for significance. We also talk about the mission. We talk about the happiness. On our job page, you will see there are like 7 or 8 videos about our office culture that's contributing to happiness. Right up front, the question we say is, the first thing we say is, number 1, this is our mission. Do you relate? If the answer is no, don't worry about applying. If the answer is yes, go further. We show the mission. Growth. We talk about all the ways we help you grow because we invest in a lot of our employees. Our employees, today, for example, we have 30 employees in the mountains in Malaysia at a retreat, going through Lifebook, creating their life vision. In 2 weeks, we are taking 140 employees to an island in Thailand for a team retreat, right? Including our employees from Estonia, whom we're actually flying to Thailand. This is why you want to apply if you know people. Okay, so growth. And then significance is there. Significance is there just like any other company. There's a title, you have your seniority, there's a salary attached, but you look at all 4. So if you're creating a company and you want to get the best talent, you got to understand that the rules of the game have changed. Especially millennials, they have a much more multi-dimensional approach about what they want. So your company must have all 4. So this is why your mission is important. What is the mission of your company? How is your company contributing to the human race? Or does your company have some bullshit mission like Coca-Cola, which basically, and even Coca-Cola, by the way, how they get people to work for them is through BS. They are basically selling high fructose corn syrup. Nobody here should be drinking, too much Coke. It's bad for your body. So what do? They attach happiness to it. They attach happiness to it. They make that their mission to make the world happier so that their employees forget that it's all rubbish and you're really poisoning the human species. But they too are using mission to get people. But you want to be a real company with a real mission. Maybe Tesla is an example. So in Silicon Valley, when people were quizzed on how proud are you of your company's mission, the number 1 company and the number 2 company both belong to Elon Musk. It was Tesla and SpaceX. Because he is an entrepreneur, really plays the mission card. This is awesome, right? So he gets all of this amazing engineers, amazing people who join his company because of mission. So you want to be Tesla and not Coca-Cola. Don't try to fake this. Now the second thing is happiness. Google and Facebook do this really, really, really well. The beautiful office, the amazing perks. At Mindvalley, we do it as well. So happiness is really important because the study shows that if you have a best friend at work, you are 7 times more engaged at your job. So a lot of companies, a lot of people have this bullshit idea that you cannot be friends at work. It's not true. If you have a best friend at work, you are 7 times more engaged at your job. You basically love your work more. So we designed the job for happiness. So I said in a few weeks, we are flying 140 of our employees to a team retreat in Thailand, where they're going to spend 4 days on the beach, getting to know each other, playing team building games, learning about the company mission. Why? Because it creates happiness. The happiness creates friendships. The friendships make them love the company more, and it gets them more productive at work. So you design happiness into it, right? This is why, you know, when I worked at Microsoft, I wasn't happy about the job, but they really take care of their employees. Bill Gates, even though I was an intern, invited us all to his house for a barbecue. On Fridays at 5 p.m., they would bring a giant keg of beer into the office, and all the programmers would stop coding and they would go and hang around with the beer. And then every month, they would put us all in a bus, allow us to skip work for 2 hours, and we would go see a movie together. Because Microsoft got this. So happiness is really important. You want to bake that in your company. Don't think that it all has to be about the 9 to 5. Growth, creating opportunities for your people to grow. Now, how many of you here have the Mindvalley Quest app on you? Okay, so if you get the Mindvalley Quest app, you'll see that there is a program on it called Extraordinary by Design. It's a program that we put our employees through to get them to really think about their growth, right? And it's completely free. So if you download Mindvalley Quest, go to Discover, you can download it, you can take your employees through it. We put it there specifically for companies that want to help their companies, that want to help their people grow. So growth means having trainings where you're helping your people not just up-level in their skills, but up-level as a human being. So we invest a lot in personal growth training. Everything from weight loss to fitness. For example, we bring in gym instructors, and we have our people in our company. We actually sponsor gym. So some companies like Google and Facebook, what I don't like about them is that they give away free food. That to me is bad. You don't want to train your people to need to go and grab a snack every now and then. That's bad. It's bad for your body. What we do is we get free gym training. So we bring in world-class instructors who go with our employees and train them on weight loss, train them on muscle building, train them on endurance. So we have this really interesting in Mindvalley where a large number of guys who join Mindvalley within 1 year end up losing weight. Many end up with a six-pack. Many end up giving up alcohol and just becoming really health obsessed. But we like that. That's growth. Now the fourth one is significance. And significance means making sure that people are paid a good salary. Typically it should be 10% above market rate. People are earning enough. There is a good level of perks and other things that let people know that they are important. Significance, most companies do. We have created our world to provide this. It's these three that are often missing. But as you can see, even from the experiment, look which is the one that got the less. And I bet you're a millennial. It's these three are really important, but we do not consciously as entrepreneurs pay attention to them.
Any questions? Over there? Get tagant tule, from behind.
Okay. Kind of, like I feel it's a bit random question, but I'm really curious. Do you take care in Mindvalley all this thing of who is vegan, gluten-free, all the other issues, and do you offer the alternatives? If you offer something, I don't know, you have like a common lunch or something.
Well, we don't have a common lunch, but a lot of Mindvalley people are on WildFit. WildFit is our own food and nutrition program, right? And WildFit has its own rules. So what we do is, at the restaurants in our area, we have told the restaurant owners to create WildFit-friendly meals. So our employees can go, and there are certain code words that they can use in the restaurant to get the healthy meal.
Okay, thanks.
And for example, 2 years ago, before we were more health conscious, I would sometimes bring donuts to the office, right? And I thought, okay, I'm bringing Krispy Kreme donuts. That's great. I'm being nice. No, now I know that's bad. You don't want to train your employees to eat a freaking sugary donut. So now what we do is our employees make Alka-Geyser shakes. Alka-Geyser is like a veggie shake. And a lot of them make that for each other. Someone will come with a giant blender. They will make bulletproof coffee, or they'll make Alka-Geyser. They'll share with everyone else. People motivate each other to eat well. Yesterday I was with Miriam in a meeting, and I just happened to unwrap a Bounty a Bounty chocolate bar. It was this tiny, and she's like, "Don't put that sugary shit in your mouth." I'm like, okay.
Any other questions? From here.
You talk a lot about self-growth. Do you have any books in particular that you would recommend to read?
Yeah.
You can read Vishen's book, Be Extraordinary.
Yeah, actually, that would be my #1 recommendation. Because, yeah, no, look, guys, I'm not just saying that. Firstly, there's an Estonian version out. Kadi, what's the Estonian version called?
Erakordse elukood.
Yeah, but also because it is a great book. It was the #1 book in the world for 5 days last year, ahead of J.K. Rowling and Stephen King and everyone else. It was the #1 book on Amazon globally for 5 days. Yeah, it's a really good book, and I summarize all of the things I've learned. So if you ask me, it's going to be that book.
There.
What's the English title of the book?
The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. Could you hold it up? Yeah, so that's the Estonian version. Yeah, but if you read it in English, I think it might be better if you read it in English, if English is your native language. It's coming out in Spanish as well. Yeah.
That doesn't matter to me.
Right.
I cannot read it in English.
Yeah.
Okay, question over there.
Is this book available here right now?
Well,
No?
it's written in Estonian.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope it's available
Not
here.
here, like in the bookstores.
In the
Okay.
bookstores, yeah.
My question is, I faced many times that in the events like this, or brainstorm, or I get very excited of those ideas,
Right.
and I'm ready to rumble, ready to go in, and go in the mission, but then everyday life kind of sucks me in, and
Right.
I'm gone. I'm going to sleep again.
Right.
What is the solution?
Yeah, which Mindvalley. That's the whole point of Mindvalley. When you take a program on Mindvalley Quests, we have our program, our platform for learning right now is probably the single best platform in the world. Silicon Valley investors are fascinated by it because of the completion rate. It's way above the other online courses because of how the programs are designed. Here's why. Firstly, nobody can start the program by themselves. 1,000 to 3,000 students start together, and they go through the program 10 to 20 minutes a day by day for 30 days. So if you're taking a program on public speaking or a program on memory, you start on a specific date, everybody starts together, thousands of people on Quest, and you go through it day by day. But then everybody is connected in a Facebook group, and we are trained and we have facilitators trained in a certain way to keep you hooked. So every day you are connecting with people. Other students are keeping you inspired. People are pushing you along. You don't just up-level yourself in 30 days. You make new friends. And then, if you want to go beyond just connecting with people in the virtual world, you come to Tallinn and you join Mindvalley U. And boom, your life changes. You're now plugged into 500 to 800 global entrepreneurs who are complete visionaries in how they view the world. And because of the way Kadi and Miriam and my team organizes the event, you form solid friendships. The reason you go back into the world is because you're still living in the regular world, and the regular world is filled with people and advertising and media and habits that will suck you in. You got to step into a new world. We're creating that new world. And once you come into our world, there is no escape. No, I'm kidding. You can choose to toss away your phone. But the thing is, it's actually so exciting. People make such rich friendships. You don't want to leave.
Yeah, I agree on that, because it's something, I've been in self-development now 10 years. I started off like not having any contacts, not knowing anything about the different topics, and now it changed my life in all different areas. And one of the things is being at these events, going again and again to the live events, meeting the people and sticking with some of them, and being around those people, and they are helping me to make the change happen. Like not in a first event, but maybe on a 5th, 10th, 15th event that I go to, and that's where finally when you're in there, it's kind of like with the motivation with the shower. Someone said like it's motivation is like shower. You just can't go that I go under shower and I'm done for that. You have to do it every day, and that's the same with.
If you were to look at our website, mindvalley.com, you'll notice something really interesting about our website. There's very little pictures of our products, but there's lots of pictures of our community. And everyone is like freaking like happy and dancing and excited. A lot of it is Karen's photography. But what's going on there is we came to understand quite by accident exactly what you said. If this was just online courses, people go back into the real world. So we needed to give people a larger community to be part of. Because Neil Donald Walsh, the guy who wrote Conversations with God, he said, if you can create a high consciousness tribe, you can take anyone, even a low consciousness person, put them in there, and their consciousness will go up. But if you have a low consciousness tribe, you can take a high consciousness person, put them in there, and their consciousness will go down. In short, group consciousness influences us. And so what you got to do is you got to step into a group with a higher vibration, with a higher consciousness. And that is what creates that shift in you. So that's a key part of what we do. Community is probably the #1 thing that creates the Mindvalley magic, whether it's the office that you're working in, or it's the events, or it's Mindvalley U, or it's even our app. Community drives everything.
Question from here? Mike?
So, before that, there was a question, 3 biggest mistake, what you had. But what are those 3 main things that makes Mindvalley so successful? And what makes this kind of company like Tesla or Mindvalley? I don't know if you understand my question.
No, I get it perfectly.
Because before was mistakes, so how is right now 3 things that makes this kind of company like Mindvalley or Tesla?
Got it. So the first thing is mission, right? You specifically said Tesla. Now, and I mentioned people working in Silicon Valley, the #1 company that they rank in terms of the question, I resonate with my company's mission, #1 and #2 are SpaceX and Tesla, because Elon Musk talks about this. Think about SpaceX. What is SpaceX? It's basically a company that is a trucking service for the International Space Station, right? You put cargo in a rocket, boom, you shoot it up. Comes down, you put cargo, boom. It's like a truck, except it's going this way and not this way. It's a trucking service. But if you think about Elon Musk and how he speaks about SpaceX, he doesn't say, oh, it's a rocket company. He says SpaceX is about making mankind an interplanetary species. Do you see the difference? It's a bigger mission. If you think about Mindvalley, we don't say Mindvalley builds a learning app. We say Mindvalley is creating a school for humanity. We're creating, our goal is to create the world's greatest school, to be as significant to human history as Harvard or the Library of Alexandria, a school designed to transform the human species, get us to Humanity 2.0, to assemble the world's greatest teachers, and create a global school to remind us of just how far we can progress as humans, as a human species, and to connect the world beyond petty nationalities, religion, or borders. That's what we do. Do you see the difference?
I see.
So you can join an app company, or you can change history. That's the first thing.
I was a teacher in a school, and I left because it was boring and sucks.
Right.
And now you have a different kind of school.
Right. So the first thing is, if you're building a business, you must align. If you want to build a great business, have a mission. So again, you can start a clothing company, but there are so many clothing companies out there. Think about, so an example of a great clothing company is, the name escapes me. God, what was it? What is that company, Miriam, that makes hiking clothing? It's in the west coast of the US. Really incredible values. Yeah. Patagonia, yes. You can start a clothing company, or you can start a company like Patagonia. Patagonia is more than a clothing company. They are a company that creates clothing for hiking and everything, but they have very, very, very firm environmental values. So their CEO, for example, when Trump I think it was Patagonia, when Trump decided that he was going to carve up like US land for national parks to give it to oil companies, they put up this big thing on their website. They blocked off their entire website so you could read a statement on why you needed to put a signature against the US government. And then only you could go to shopping. And you know what? People love them because of that, because Patagonia doesn't compromise its values. It's not a clothing company. It's a company to get human beings close to nature. The clothing is part of how they do it, but they will go beyond clothing. They will stand up to the government. They donated millions of dollars to environmental causes because their mission is more than just making clothing. It's to make human beings closer to nature. Do you see the difference? Now, when you can apply that to everything you do, whether it's a food company or a clothing company, you go from selling a commodity to having a mission. And people want mission. Remember that chart I showed you? Mission. So what is it that you do?
I do websites at the moment.
Great. Okay. So what you got to do is figure out that mission. What is it that you can create that's unique about your company that makes it more mission-oriented? For example, maybe you do websites, but maybe what your company also would do is that for every X number of clients, you create a website project for a non-profit related to an environmental cause. You've attached a mission to your company. But the second part might help you, and that's values. What are your company values? Okay, so this is something really, really, really important. So the first thing is mission. The second thing is values. Now, remember I told you the story of how I was added to that watch list, right? So your values are often the underlying reason of existence of your company. Most entrepreneurs don't really go deep and try to really pinpoint the values. But when you can pinpoint the values, they do a remarkable thing to your company. They accelerate the speed at which your company operates. They attract the right people. They make your life better. But you got to identify those values, and there's a process for it. Okay, so I realized around 10 years after I'd started my company that I was obsessed with diversity. I wanted to have people from as many different countries as possible. But what I realized is that that obsession with diversity came from my pain of being on a watch list, of having to leave the United States because of fear of diversity. Does that make sense? So the first value of Mindvalley is therefore unity. So in everything we do, we want to bring the human race together. When Trump was elected, we released a video saying, if you're going to march in Washington against the immigration ban or the Muslim ban, we support you. We were not afraid to get political because unity is the #1 value. When we hire someone, if someone applies from a country where we don't have someone from, they're more likely to get hired. When at Mindvalley you'll meet entrepreneurs from 40 different countries because we want to bring the world, to get the world more united. We're supporting Estonia's e-residency because I see that as a future vision for the world where people are more unified. Because right now, the world is run by many stupid politicians who push for disunity, from Brexit to Trumpism. We fight that. And so we're never afraid to get political. If you see me on Facebook, you will see how often I stand up for this value. But this is real, and it came from my pain and the shit that I had to go through because of bad politics. I don't want that happening to my kids. So that's the first value. Now your question is, what is the pain that you went through as a child that will help you identify the values for your company? Maybe you were a woman and someone in a misogynistic way told you that you would never be a CEO or that you would have to give up your career to be a mother. Great. Can you start a company that fights that, right? Can you start a company that maybe, creates a way where you can change the rules of work for women? Maybe you were abused as a child. Can you start a company that puts kindness as a core value? Kindness towards the employees, kindness towards the customer. So often your values come from what pain did you experience in your past that you want to ensure nobody else experiences in the world as much as you can. So our first value is unity. But there's a second value. That second value is transformation. So why is it that we spend so much money investing in our people? Why is it that this weekend I have some 30 to 40 of my employees in a mountain retreat at a 5-star resort going through Lifebook, helping them come up with their goals? It's because of human transformation. That's a value. Why is it that we are flying 140 people at an exorbitant cost to Thailand so we can get them to bond and learn leadership exercises? Because human transformation is the value. But this too came from my pain. When I was suffering, when I couldn't make a freaking phone call and close a lawyer on technology, a meditation class helped me. And I want to ensure that everybody I meet understands the importance of transformation, which is why everything we do, transformation is baked in. You come to Mindvalley, we want to make you fitter, we want to make you smarter, we want to get you eating well, we want to get you ripped, we want to get you meditating. And I'm not just talking about our customers, I'm talking about our people. Transformation is that value, but again, it came from my pain. Now the third one is something called envisioning. Envisioning is a word that we kind of made up. I don't know if this is an official word in the English language, but envisioning means seeing the world for where it could be and always pushing for a better world. It means celebrating what you do, but never being satisfied because you can always do more, you can always do bigger. So envisioning is that. So every team in Mindvalley pushes to do something bigger and bigger and bigger. Kadi here was part of our events team, and they were organizing this incredible festival called A-Fest. And after doing it for about 4 years, we said, well, you know, we're doing it now in America. Let's do twice a year in Europe. And they did that for 2 years. And then we said, well, now we're doing 2 festivals. Let's create a new type of university. And so now they're creating Mindvalley U. And every year, the challenge gets bigger, and the challenge gets bigger, and the challenge gets bigger. They're always envisioning a bigger and bigger and bigger challenge, never being satisfied. That's a key value. Now this one, when I try to think back, where did it come from? I really don't know. I don't remember. But there's something in me that wants to make the world better as fast as I can. And I don't know where it came from. But you want to identify your values, your 3 or 4 values, and note that often the biggest pain you experience in life was there for a reason. That pain was there to wake you up to something you had to heal or fight or fix or improve in the world so other people don't experience that pain. And when you can identify that and you can plug it into your company, it's like you just awakened Superman. That's what you want to do. So you want to have a mission, but you want to ensure that your company has really firm values. So now, number 3 is really the people. And I gave you a model for finding the people. Now, this isn't just my idea. If you read the book Good to Great, the #1 rule of great companies is get the right people on the bus, right? You want to ensure that you are getting the right people together. And this is a whole different topic, right? We spend so much time getting the right people. So, for example, to come to Mindvalley, you cannot just send a resume. If we just take resumes, we'll have thousands of applicants. You have to create a video cover letter. And every week, we receive 150 videos a week from people applying to join the company, right? And these people invest a lot of time creating the videos. And out of 150, maybe 2 will get accepted, 2 a week, roughly. Probably less, maybe like one a week. So the odds are high, but it's getting the best people. And so when you meet people who work for Mindvalley, you see that they are really extraordinary individuals. And you want to do that. Now, you cannot do that from the start. You got to start somewhere. And when you start somewhere, you create a bar in your company. But every new person who comes in has to be above the bar, and above the bar, and above the bar, and above the bar. And over time, that bar starts going up, and you never let the bar drop, no matter how busy you are. You say no to someone who's going to bring the bar down. And over time, you start raising the level of your company. And so with those great people, everything else comes easy. Right? So it's these: mission, value, people. Now, they all relate. Mission helps you attract people. Mission makes your company a better magnet. Values help your people understand how to work with each other. So for example, you know, transformation is a really big value. And yesterday I was WhatsApping one of my people because we needed something done. And she's like, Vishen, just wanted to remind you, I'm at this goal-setting retreat in the mountains. I'm happy to step out and do this. But the value is transformation. So I said, hey, no. The work can wait. You got to work on your goals. So go back to that and don't worry about this till Monday. Because transformation helps make that decision. There's no debate. We know what the value is. You grow first. So these values help your people make better decisions. They help create alignment. People know what is right and what is wrong, and they, again, help the company become rocket fuel. So these three things are the three things that truly matter.
Thanks for the question, and thanks for the answer. It was really great. I think we're gonna, let's discuss a little bit about the Mindvalley U as well, because you mentioned it a few times. There's, how many of you are already coming to Mindvalley U? Okay.
Awesome.
How many of you are interested or curious about what is the Mindvalley U thing about in Estonia? Okay, how many of you would like to hear a little bit about that?
Right.
Okay, so let's share a little bit what it's exactly about, because I see your
Mindvalley U is it's ridiculously amazing. It is. I know Estonians don't like hyperbole, but I'm not going to hold myself back from something which I know is so transformative for someone's life. It's bringing together world-class individuals from 40 different countries. They're going to be about 500 to 800 people. And people move with their families. We rented Kulttuuri Cartel for about 3.5 weeks. So we have this amazing community. And then within Kulttuuri Cartel, we are bringing in incredible teachers. You're going to hear about, I'll ask Miriam and Kadi to talk about some of the teachers. World-class teachers from the US, from Europe, people that you just cannot meet. But what we do is, it's a safe container where we create a high-level consciousness. And everybody who comes in is supporting each other. In the course of 3.5 weeks, we have 300-something events in Tallinn. And the events are not just for adults. We bring in the children as well, because parenting is such an important value for us. We bring in the children, so there are classes for 6 to 12 years old, so your child gets transformed. There are classes for teenagers. There are classes for adults. Lifebook is there, you know. Silva, that I mentioned, is there. So Silva was the seminar that helped me be able to move my hand down the phone book. That's being taught there. Lifebook, which teaches the 12 dimensions, the famous American entrepreneur who created it, he's attending with his family. So he's there with his children and grandkids. And so all of this come together in this beautiful community, 500 to 800 people, 300 activities across Tallinn in 3.5 weeks, 40 different nationalities. And what happens is that A, you transform because you learn so much, but B, you make lifelong friends, like really incredible friendships with people across the world. And we were able to get the cost down to something really affordable. If you're there for 30 days, it's like 50 euros a day for unlimited access to all of these amazing events. So to me, it's the number one. I believe this is going to be bigger and better than Stanford or Harvard. I believe this is the future of education. Rather than go to a university for 4 years and then emerge and the world has changed, and our model is you go to this university for 1 month, then you go back into the world. Then you come back 1 month later and it's in a different city like Budapest or Edinburgh. Then you go back into the world. Then you come back 1 month later for the rest of your life. And you bring your kids with you. So A, it's a complete deconstruct of how traditional college works. It's not 2 years or 4 years, it's 1 month a year for the rest of your life. And you can still go to a traditional university if you want to. But B, it's really remarkable people. And C, it's transgenerational. So you're there with your children. Because I wanted to change that paradigm. I want to be able to go to school with my 10-year-old son. My daughter Eve, 4 years old, she's a little bit too young because we start at 6. But this changes everything. And by the way, the students who are there also end up teaching. So you meet these incredible entrepreneurs from everywhere, from China to India to the United States to Spain. And many of them also step up and they share what they have done, you know, and the ideas that they are getting and what they've been able to accomplish. And they share it with you and your children. That's what really causes the magic.
Yeah, I have to tell that there's the people attending Mindvalley events, as so far, how many have attended? Just a few, but the people, the quality of the people there, this is amazing. There are speakers, there's entrepreneurs, there's coaches, there's all different sort of fields people are from, and they're doing really great things in their life because you get them in by application. Not just anyone can come.
A lot of celebrities also come.
Yeah.
There are a couple of celebrities from US television, like international sports stars. They come. It's that level of people.
Yeah,
and they're there with their family.
Yeah, and for Estonian people here, it's really an amazing opportunity because I've been going through, I said, 10 years to self-development. It's been hundreds plus thousands of euros spending on the cost of the tickets, and not just the event tickets, but it's also the flights, it's the accommodation. Now it's here in Tallinn. so that's so much easier for you to attend. And also I think you're going to get an email right about when the event happens. We have also a small discount code that you can use for those who are attending this event, watching this live, the webinar. You're going to get a discount code and all the pricing. So we're not going to do a pitch here that you have to sign up here, because the thing is that you have to first apply. You can't just say, I'm in. You first have to go and apply on the website.
Yeah, because again, it's the same principle. You keep the bar really high. But I'd love to have Kadi. Kadi and I were talking. They were like, could you explain, Kadi, the 3 reasons in our conversation of why you think Estonians should like totally be there?
Of course. Do I need a mic? Should I do it in our secret language, maybe?
You can do it in the secret language.
It's okay because there's someone from Spain, so I'm not going to do it. I'm using English so everyone can understand. So you covered quite a lot of it already, Vishen, during your presentation, but I would like to emphasize on the 3 things that really, really make the experience magical. And first of all, it's the people and the community that Vishen mentioned a few times. It's really, the crowd is super high level, and the people you meet, it's incredible. And one of the main feedback that we get after our events is always constantly the same, that it's all about the community and the people that you get to meet, and you create lifelong friendships, business partnerships with. And we even, actually, that's a good example. We will have a wedding happening at this Mindvalley U in Tallinn, because there were two people who met in the first Mindvalley U, which happened last year in Barcelona. So these are the kind of relationship that can happen as well at our events, because the energy and the vibe is just so magical and really encouraging people to connect on a really deep level. So for them, it's such a meaningful event that they want to celebrate it with the tribe here in Tallinn with us. So that's one of the examples. And of course, I think it's the first time in history probably that we'll get to have all these amazing speakers and teachers from all around the world come down to Estonia. So you don't even have to travel anywhere, but they just come to you, and you have easy access to them. And the third thing is that I think many conferences and seminars, we go there, we see the speakers. If we are lucky, then from the first row. If we're not so lucky, then maybe from the back of the room after like 400 rows. And then you can share your excitement on social media later on that I actually saw the speaker. But at Mindvalley U, they are part of the group. So it's not that there's a speaker and then there's the attendees, but basically we are all one. So you get to talk to them later after they talk or presentation or workshop, and connect with them, ask them questions. They spend time with you. We have evening social events when they come and spend time with all the attendees. So it's really like a networking, I would say. And because the main idea is lifelong learning, then as Vishen mentioned, it's all ages. So it can be that the 6-year-old person learns from a 60-year-old person, and the other way around. So it's a really, really magical, different energy and vibe. And yeah, it's 3.5 weeks, so it will be intense, but intense in its most positive sense.
And the programming is really interesting. Some incredible speakers. Miriam, could you just share a couple of things which are happening?
All right. Tere. As far as my Estonian goes for now. So we have, as Vishen was mentioning, a lot of the tribe members are also going to be teaching. So I handpick every single person who applies and wants to share what they've learned and what they are working on. and make sure that that they meet our standards and that they really have something to share that the other tribe members can learn from. However, we also have a few, quite a few actually, really world-class teachers and speakers, and namely one of them, for example, on parenting, we were talking a lot. Dr. Shefali Sabari is coming, who was on Oprah's. She's Oprah's like BFF on parenting. So she's really excited to come to Tallinn and share on conscious parenting. We're gonna have Wim Hof. We're gonna have Jim Quick, who is Mindvalley one. I think his quest is #1 right now.
Well, Jim Quick is the guy who trained Elon Musk's kids on memory and learning, and trained Elon Musk and trained Sergey Brin and trained a lot.
And
of
so
other
we're gonna have a 1-day full event with Jim Quick, and that's at the very beginning of Mindvalley U. Then we are gonna have Gilong Tupton, for example, who is a monk, and he's gonna be teaching on mindfulness and meditation. And a lot of incredible teachers, and as Kadi was saying, you really do get to mingle with them, and you know, ask them questions, learn from them, interact with them. So there's this different level of learning. And as Vishen was, can I just mention of the kids and teens program, because I'm like super excited about this. We're finally bringing change into the schooling system. And I'm really excited about this. We've put a lot of work into building these two separate programs, and they are going to be going through weeks which are differently themed, and they're all helping them to get to another level in certain areas: health and fitness, emotional intelligence, for example, global intelligence, where little kids are going to be learning about how come that they have clothes from different countries and they're from the same country. So through interactive games and through play, they're going to discover the world as it is outside of their home countries. And you know, they might be coming from the same town, but they might have like a complete experience, different experience of the world, and they're going to be sharing. And the most important thing is that that they're kids who are also coming from, as Vishen was mentioning, like 40 different countries. So there's really the diversity for and the exposure of the kids and teens to different things will be really big. So I'm super excited about that. And what's also really cool is that how we do have two leads, the two girls who are going to be taking care of the kids and teens. They're professionals, because it's important that they have that one core person they can turn to at that very sensitive age. However, we also have our main speakers joining doing sessions with the kids and teens, so that they meet them, but also they're going to be acting as mentors. So there's this really cool program where a teenage boy can actually go up to Jim Quick and like talk to him and interact. So it's really cool, and we're excited.
We want to change the paradigm on how we are educating our teenagers and our children. And again, me and Christina designed this because we have Estonian kids, right? And I wanted to make sure that Hayden, my son, gets to learn from the best minds in the world. And I remember last year when we did this in Barcelona, Hayden was 9 years old. And we had one of the people who was attending was an Australian woman entrepreneur. Her name was Reagan. And Reagan had started like a $3 million a year business, had I think 20 or 30 employees. It was a branding agency, and she started it when she was 17 years old. She was a teenager. And now she gets this incredible life. She's super wealthy. She gets to travel around the world. And Reagan came to teach entrepreneurship to 9-year-olds. And after that, I was a little bit skeptical. Is my 9-year-old son really going to learn from this? So I asked Hayden, what did you learn after the 1-hour class? And he said, well, Dad, I learned that when I start a business, and if I create a joint business account with my business partner, I should make sure that I really trust my business partner. Otherwise, my business partner could empty the account and run away with all my money. So I was like, okay, not bad for a 9-year-old. But think about what's happening when your children are in that environment. You change them. There was another kid who was 16 years old who dreamed of starting a t-shirt company. He was a designer. He loved designing. He wanted to go to university, become an entrepreneur, start a t-shirt company, and sell t-shirts that he designed. And another parent who was there by the name of John said, hey, why do you have to wait that long? Let's do it this Saturday. So he taught the 16-year-old how to create a shop on Shopify, put up his t-shirt designs, and start selling. And that kid made his first sale that weekend. The kid thought he had to wait 7 years to be an entrepreneur. It took 3 days. And he said, I'm still going to go to a regular university, but now I know I'm going to pay for my university. So that's what happens when you take these kids and you expose them to these incredible adults. And that of course, is also what happens to the people over here. Your life will never be the same again. After Mindvalley U, there'll be a tribe of Estonian Mindvalley U graduates in Tallinn, and the international graduates will be coming every month. There's going to be people down. There's going to be meetups. There's going to be dinners. There's going to be mingles for the rest of your life. It changes the dynamic. I'm doing it because the next time I come to Tallinn, I want to be able to have people I can just connect with on our tribe app and invite over. It changes the dynamic. It builds a global network of incredible people with incredible kids who want to do something more in the world.
Since Miriam just gave me the microphone, I don't know why, but I thought I'll add. You got the applause.
Again, you walk up and you get the applause.
No, you got the applause. No, just as a mother who actually protects my child's right to be a child, I want to address a slightly different aspect, because this is happening in July and a lot of kids are having actually their summer holidays, and some of the parents, like myself, would cringe, like, why do I want to take a kid to school again? But that's exactly what Mindvalley tries to change. Schooling and learning is actually fun. It's exciting. It's wondrous. And that's what we want to bring back. My kids, when we were doing that in Barcelona last year, and I told Hayden, I'm too busy, can I please not take you to your classes today? He's like, no, find time, I have to go there. I want to go there because it's interesting, because it's exciting. And that's exactly another problem with a lot of schools around the world, that they take the joy out of studying. And Mindvalley U program is actually exciting. It's not a chore, it's not another school, it's not a summer school, it's not a responsibility for a kid, it's actually an opportunity to discover the world in a different way. So that's my 5 cents I wanted to add.
But don't even listen to us. Tap into your intuition. Your intuition is going to say this is going to be one of the biggest life-changing things you're going to do. Those of you watching, tap into your intuition and ask your intuition if you need to be there. And then listen and make that decision. This is, to me, man, I feel sorry for the people who don't come.
I hear you. Any last questions from you? Because we're going to wrap up this. Any last questions? About anything about Mindvalley U or someone here? Can a microphone here?
You have mentioned so many times about the visualization, and there are so many like teachings and techniques how to visualize. Would you share some tips how you do that?
Absolutely. It's a lot more than just visualization. So how about I just give you guys a free program, right? Go to the Quest app and download the program called the 6-Phase Meditation. 6-Phase is the way. You can download it. I've trained on this even at Google HQ in Dublin. It's called 6-Phase Meditation, and this is what I use. It's free. Click on Discover, click on 6-Phase, click Enroll, and you get it for free.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Right there.
Hi, I'm a high school student, and I have a question about relationships. And I have this feeling that my friends who are close to me, but I feel that they feel like poisoning to me. I feel like unhappy, and I think I should end some relationships, and I don't know how to do it, but I feel I don't want to surround with those people.
That's a fantastic idea.
I would first give her a big hand, like high school student here, sharing up.
No, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think the biggest thing that high schoolers succumb to is peer pressure from people who are at a different level pulling you down. And I think you do have to cut certain people off. And so congratulations to you. I think you should. And I wouldn't feel guilty about it. Do it in the gentlest way possible. But you got to protect your values and what you stand for. And I guarantee you, when you stop letting people pull you down, you start going up. And as you start rising, you will attract to you people who are at that level. But if you don't cut the cords, you end up going down. And you get stuck there.
Any last? So one more question after that, and then we're finished.
Okay, thank you. So many questions. I want to also ask about people relationships, but more in a company-wise, because I also feel in my company one of the most important thing is culture, and culture comes from the word cult, so it's comes from that's the root. Right. And the dynamics, the social dynamics of the company, how do you put that in place? And what methodology do you use? Like every week you have this transformative people going to the monks, to the mountains and things like that. But what are the things that you do every week? And what's the routines that keeps the culture going? And what do you think about changing the culture after it has put into place? Because it's so hard to change social dynamics afterwards. And maybe you can give one book recommendation on company culture.
Well, my next book is actually called Code of the Extraordinary Team. It's coming out January 2020. It's on culture. But what I did is, if you go to this website, okay, careers.mindvalley.com, this is a 7-page website. There's a particular page there where you can dig deeper into Mindvalley, and you'll find a 90-minute talk I gave in Helsinki at a European HR summit. It's a 90-minute talk, and I break it down, and I talk about 22 different methods you can fine-tune your culture. So if you go through that talk, you'll learn the entire model. And I just made it public because I wanted other companies to be able to copy it. So rather than me answer it, let me give you the resource. Go check out that talk, 90 minutes. Or you can also Google Vishen Helsinki. I think you'll find it on YouTube, because it was at the Helsinki 9 to 5 HR conference. Vishen Helsinki, you'll find it on YouTube, or go over here. 90 minutes, you'll get everything you need.
Thank you.
Okay, last question. Anyone wants to go for the last one? All right. Younger guys are
So Miriam mentioned that Wim Hof is going to be at your that conference. Do you like dabble in his like teachings as well?
My kids do as well. Yeah, Wim Hof is great. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
All right.
Yeah, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that today or tomorrow, I'm releasing a 1-hour interview with me and Wim.
But what is he going to be like teaching? Is he?
Well, the great thing about Wim Hof is he expands your beliefs. When you experience Wim, you realize that your body is so much more powerful. And then you start thinking of your body in a different way. So with Wim, it's less about the technique. You will learn a technique, breathing technique, but it's less about the technique. It's more expanding your belief system. And that shifts everything in your life. You can learn through a belief upgrade, or you can learn through learning a technique. Wim, he will teach a great technique, but the greatest thing is when you meet this guy and you see what he's able to do, your whole beliefs of aging, of what the human body is capable of what your mind is capable of, expand. And this will shift the rest of your life.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear your chant for Vishen.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for coming, and those who watched on webinar as well. Thank you for being part of this experience. And how many of you are planning to come to Mindvalley U? I'm curious. That's cool. We're gonna meet you over there. You can get the recording of this to your email, and also as said, you have a discount code for coming to the Mindvalley U, and you find all about the details, how you get applied and all that, so you can go on the link that you're gonna get on your email and be part of the amazing things that are gonna happen in Tallinn in this summer. And thank you again for coming. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.